Do you know what you get when you appoint someone with basically no actual experience or credentials to handle a really high profile case? The very high likelihood that the case gets thrown out. And this guy might soon benefit from that. We're talking here about Lindsey Halligan. Lindsey Halligan is a US attorney that was handpicked by Donald Trump to launch the case against James Comey because all of the actual lawyers didn't think there was anything there. And since all the people with experience who actually know how to do these cases were like, you got bupkis, this is nothing, they instead had to choose a lackey, a toady, someone who is only being picked for their loyalty and not for their actual education or experience, and thus we get Lindsey Halligan. And that's gonna be kind of a problem for the case because she's making a real botch job of it. And so we've now found out that the full grand jury did not see the indictment it was supposed to have approved. Remember, the grand jury did approve a couple of the indictments against James Comey right before the statute of limitations would have ended. It did not approve all of them, which is already very embarrassing for the case. But now we find out what they approved wasn't the actual indictment. And I've literally never heard of that happening before. I don't even know what happens. Does the thing just get thrown out? Stay tuned to find out. But the judge, Michael Nachmanoff, he's currently involved in the legal process in this, he doesn't seem happy about the entire thing. He peppered prosecutors with questions on a range of topics, including Mr. Trump's own statements about wanting Mr. Comey to be indicted. And I'll just remind everyone, in those statements, he also specifically said to pick Lindsey Halligan. Remember, he accidentally publicly DM'd Pam Bondi about this. Jesus, these people are inept. And about an earlier decision by career members of the US Attorney's Office in Alexandria to forego bringing charges. In one remarkable moment, the judge posed some of his questions directly to Lindsey Halligan, quizzing her on how she had presented it to the grand jury. At one point, she admitted that she had never shown the second and final version of the indictment to the full grand jury before it was signed by the foreperson, which, is that just fraud? Like, she could have just written that he committed murder into the final thing and gotten the person to sign it. You can't lie to the foreperson in that way. But anyway, Mr. Comey's lawyers have seized on that, calling it yet another reason to dismiss the case entirely. And I think they might be onto something. At another point, one of Miss Halligan's subordinates, Tyler Lemons, acknowledged that someone in the Deputy Attorney General's office had instructed him not to discuss in open court whether his predecessors had or had not written a memo laying out their reasons for not bringing charges because that was privileged information. In the end, he was being questioned pretty harshly. He confessed that the prosecutors who'd previously handled the case had indeed written a draft of a memo declining prosecution. And I love that they have tried and failed to hide that, because that is going to, again, undercut the case, and it's gonna make the lawyers for Mr. Comey have a much easier job convincing the judge, or maybe a jury if it even gets to that point, that this is not a case that's being pursued based on the merits. It was rejected on the merits, and then it was picked back up again by a partisan political actor, President Piggy, who then chooses his lackey to pursue James Comey as a result of nothing more than a political vendetta. That's all that it is. And so, and this is we're gonna end with this is a fun moment. The judge asked this question about Miss Halligan, saying, so Miss Halligan was the stalking horse, or to use a different word, a puppet for the president. Now, she's gonna get really mad about that, but she knows what her job is. She knows why she was picked. She wasn't chosen for her expertise or whatever. She was chosen because she'd do it. She's the only person that would. There have been multiple people in the Trump administration in this second term who've been chosen for that exact reason. The same thing happened with Eric Adams, by the way. The actual serious people rejected it. It's happening with multiple other AGs that are being investigated too. She was the person the loyal toady who's just following orders. That's what she chose to be. And so she responded saying, personal attacks like Judge Nachmanoff referring to me as a puppet don't change the fact to the law. The judicial canons require judges to be patient, dignified, respectful, and courteous to litigants, jurors, witnesses, lawyers, and others with whom the judge deals in an official capacity, and to act at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. My focus remains on the record and the law, and I will continue to fulfill my responsibilities with professionalism. My guess as to why she would do that whole Crimea River thing is any moment now, this case could be thrown out and Donald Trump is going to nuke her from orbit for biffing this thing. He wants James Comey locked up, and it looks like she might be partially responsible for it not happening. If instead she can divert Donald Trump's boundless rage away from her and to the Democrat judge, whether he's a Democrat or not, then maybe that buys her a little bit of time. I don't know. But I just want to remind everyone, Donald Trump has been posting stuff like this recently on Truth Social, putting Kash Patel like zeroing in on James Comey with his binoculars, which seems like an unnecessary Photoshop. His eyes have already been made by biology as binoculars, basically. But anyway, he's gonna get James Comey and then he's gonna get Nancy Pelosi. Again, they're not weaponizing the Justice Department or anything. They just happen to be going after one after the other of Donald Trump's political opponents and also getting fired his critics in the media. That definitely makes the Democrats look like the corrupt ones.